What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Fitness Friday. This week we're going to be talking about tube walks and how all of y'all are messing it up. All right, so this exercise seems relatively simple. Personal trainers, strength coaches, sports performance coaches all do these all the time. You see these bands at every gym, and that's because they're utilized as part of a warm-up. They help warm up the abductors and external rotators of the hip to prepare us to be in a better position for when we do lower extremity work. But like every other exercise, y'all are messing this thing up. Again, it's meant to cue external rotation of the hip as well as abduction of the hip. And the position that we're putting our clients in typically involves them internally rotating the hip and reaching with their foot. Today we're going to go over how this exercise needs to be done and why. All right, so first things first, let's stop putting this band, for the love of God, around the ankles of our clientele. Whether they're weekend warriors or youth athletes, we're cueing them to do the wrong thing. We don't want to reach with our foot. The whole purpose of this movement is to cue the external rotators and abductors of the hip. And if we're putting this tube or band around our ankles, we're actually missing the boat here, because you're going to cue them to push against the resistance that's at the ankles and not at the knees. So we're going to internally rotate the hip and reach with the foot, and it's actually doing the exact opposite of what we're trying to do. So first off, stop doing that. Secondly, stop being such a lazy piece of shit. You need to cue your athletes. You need to coach this exercise just like you would anything else. Warm-ups are just as important as main movements, because they're going to kind of lay the foundation for everything we're going to do that day. And if we're cueing them to internally rotate the hip, guess what's going to happen? We go to squat, boom, internally rotated. We do that under a load, guess what's going to happen on the field of play? We go to decelerate, we're going to internally rotate the hip. You're going to put yourself at risk for ACL tears, meniscus tears, MCL tears, the whole nine. So stop being such a piece of shit and coach this right. Third point I'm going to make here is stop with the volume. This is not an exercise that's meant to be done at 30, 40, 50 yards at a time. It's not meant to be done 20 to 30 to 40 reps. This should be a low volume cue for your athletes. And that's it. We're not trying to wear them out. We're not trying to get in good work. We are trying to cue them for the rest of the session, or whatever they're doing for that day. If they're getting on the ice, if they're getting on the field, it is just a cue. It is not meant to fatigue the muscle. Again, it's just a cue. Stop with the volume. The last point I want to make about this exercise or movement is that we're not supposed to be reaching with that front leg at all. This is actually a push off that back leg with a stabilization of the front leg. So every time we do these, think inside edge push off your back foot, or the foot that's furthest away from where you're trying to go, and try to stabilize in a good position that front leg. All right, so we got two video clips here. One's going to be of me doing them right, and one's going to be of me doing them wrong. In the right video, you'll see the band is up around my knees, which gives me a proper stimulus. It teaches me to push out against the band and externally rotate my hip while driving off that back foot. In the second video you're going to see, it's going to be with the stimulus around my ankles, and you'll see how it forces me to kind of reach with my foot as opposed to my knee, thus internally rotating my hip and cueing me to be in a bad position for the rest of the training session. All right, so take home from this video. Put that band up above your knees. Make sure we're in an athletic base. I want to be hinged back. I don't want to be up on the balls of my feet and tall on my torso. I want to stick my butt back and be in an athletic position that's going to put a much bigger stretch on my hamstrings and glutes and allow me to utilize my hips in a much more efficient and safer position. All right, well, that's it for this week. Hope you learned something. Try to really utilize this exercise. There's a lot of merit to it. if it's done right? We want to make sure that we're cueing the right things, because transfer of training is going to happen from the gym onto the field of play, for better or worse. So if we're cueing bad things, that's going to happen on the field of play. If we're cueing the right things, that's going to help keep us in a safer position and be better. All right, so we're about 2 weeks away from our grand opening. Hopefully, if everything goes the way it should. I've had a couple hiccups along the way. I know we're about a month behind from when we originally anticipated opening. But right now we're working tirelessly on the back end of the POS software. We're going to have an app that you're going to be able to do everything in. You can schedule, pay, check yourself in, the whole nine. So we're really working hard on all that to make sure that's ready to go. Outside of that, keep following us on social media, subscribe to the podcast, and we'll keep you up to date, and hope everybody has a good weekend.